Maurice Treherne's Temptation by Louisa May Alcott. Chapter 8. Jasper. She led them to the north gallery, and pausing at the door said merrily, "The ghost, or ghosts rather, for there were two, which frightened Paddy, were Sir Jasper and myself meeting to discuss certain important matters which concern Mr. Treherne. If you want to see spirits, we will play phantom for you and convince you of our power." "Good, let us go and have a ghostly dance as a proper finale of our revel," answered Rose as they flocked into the long hall. At that moment the great clock struck 12, and all paused to bid the old year adieu. Sir Jasper was the first to speak, for, angry with Mrs. Snowdon, yet thankful to her for making a jest to others of what had been earnest to him, he desired to hide his chagrin under a gay manner, and taking Rose around the waist, was about to waltz away as she proposed, saying cheerily, "Come one and all and dance the new year in," when a cry from Octavia arrested him, and turning he saw her stand, pale and trembling, pointing to the far end of the hall. 8 narrow Gothic windows pierced either wall of the north gallery. A full moon sent her silvery light strongly in upon the eastern side, making broad bars of brightness across the floor. No fires burned there now, and wherever the moonlight did not fall, deep shadows lay. As Octavia cried out, all looked, and all distinctly saw a tall dark figure moving noiselessly across the second bar of light far down the hall. "Is it some jest of yours?" said Sir Jasper of Mrs. Snowdon, as the form vanished in the shadows. "No, upon my honour, I know nothing of it. I only meant to relieve Octavia's superstitious fears by showing her our pranks," was the whispered reply as Mrs. Snowdon's cheek paled and she drew nearer to Jasper. "Who is there?" called Treherne in a commanding tone. No answer, but a faint, cold breath of air seemed to sigh along the arched roof and die away as the dark figure crossed the third streak of moonlight. A strange awe fell upon them all, and no one spoke, but stood watching for the appearance of the shape. Nearer and nearer it came, with soundless steps, and as it reached the 6th window its outlines were distinctly visible, a tall, wasted figure, all in black, with a rosary hanging from the girdle, and a dark beard half concealing the face. "The abbot's ghost, and very well got up," said Annon, trying to laugh, but failing decidedly, for again the cold breath swept over them, causing a general shudder. "Hush!" whispered Treherne, drawing Octavia to his side with a protecting gesture. Once more the phantom appeared and disappeared, and as they waited for it to cross the last bar of light that lay between it and them, Mrs. Snowdon stepped forward to the edge of the shadow in which they stood, as if to confront the apparition alone. Out of the darkness it came, and in the full radiance of the light it paused. Mrs. Snowdon, being nearest, saw the face first, and uttering a faint cry, dropped down upon the stone floor, covering up her eyes. Nothing human ever wore a look like that of the ghastly, hollow-eyed, pale-lipped countenance below the hood. All saw it and held their breath as it slowly raised a shadowy arm and pointed a shriveled finger at Sir Jasper. "Speak, whatever you are, or I'll quickly prove whether you are man or spirit," cried Jasper fiercely, stepping forward as if to grasp the extended arm that seemed to menace him alone. An icy gust swept through the hall, and the phantom slowly receded into the shadow. Jasper sprang after it, but nothing crossed the second stream of light, and nothing remained in the shade. Like one possessed by a sudden fancy, he rushed down the gallery to find all fast and empty, and to return looking very strangely. Blanche had fainted away, and Annon was bearing her out of the hall. Rose was clinging to Mrs. Snowdon, and Octavia leaned against her cousin, saying in a fervent whisper, "Thank God it did not point at you." "Am I then dearer than your brother?" he whispered back. There was no audible reply, but one little hand involuntarily pressed his, though the other was outstretched towards Jasper, who came up white and startled, but firm and quiet. Affecting to make light of it, he said, forcing a smile as he raised Mrs. Snowdon, "It is some stupid joke of the servants. Let us think no more of it. Come, Edith, this is not like your usual self." "It was nothing human, Jasper. You know it as well as I. Oh, why did I bring you here to meet the warning phantom that haunts your house? Nay, if my time is near, the spirit would have found me out wherever I might be. I have no faith in that absurd superstition. I laugh at and defy it. Come down and drink my health in wine from the abbot's own cellar." But no one had heart for further gaiety, and finding Lady Treherne already alarmed by Annon, they were forced to tell her all, and find their own bewilderment deepened by her unalterable belief in the evil omen. At her command the house was searched, the servants cross-questioned, and every effort made to discover the identity of the apparition. All in vain. The house was as usual, and not a man or maid but turned pale at the idea of entering the gallery at midnight. At my lady's request, all promised to say no more upon the mystery, and separated at last to such sleep as they could enjoy. Very grave were the faces gathered about the breakfast table next morning, and very anxious the glances cast on Sir Jasper as he came in, late as usual, looking uncommonly blithe and well. Nothing serious ever made a deep impression on his mercurial nature. Treherne had more the air of a doomed man, being very pale and worn, in spite of an occasional gleam of happiness as he looked at Octavia. He haunted Jasper like a shadow all the morning, much to that young gentleman's annoyance, for both his mother and sister hung about him with faces of ill-dissembled anxiety. By afternoon his patience gave out, and he openly rebelled against the tender guard kept over him. Ringing for his horse, he said decidedly, "I'm bored to death with the solemnity which pervades the house today, so I'm off for a brisk gallop, before I lose my temper and spirits altogether." "Come with me in the pony carriage, Jasper. I've not had a drive with you for a long while, and should enjoy it so much," said my lady, detaining him. "Mrs. Snowdon looks as if she needed air to revive her roses, and the pony carriage is just the thing for her, so I will cheerfully resign my seat to her," he answered, laughing, as he forced himself from his mother's hand. "Take the girls in the Clarence. We all want a breath of air, and you are the best whip we know. Be gallant, and say yes, dear." "No, thank you, Tavie. That won't do. Rose and Blanche are both asleep, and you are dying to go and do likewise after your vigils last night. As a man and a brother I beg you'll do so, and let me ride as I like." "Suppose you ask Annon to join?"